Hey guys, welcome to EOC Explain. Alright, we're going to go over question 54. If you want to take a second and read through that, pause and do so. Otherwise, let's get rocking. Alright, the diagram shows taxonomic groups and a major distinguishing characteristic of all but two of them. Okay, so let's do what we do best, and that is highlight because we are awesome. I stuck with the bottom stuff to highlight because that's what's really the most important part. Not really the question, but the figure that we have here, right? So just to go over the question real quickly, which characteristics will be used to complete the chart? In other words, what fills in the question mark? So the question marks that we highlighted, this and this, what fills those in, right? So let's start at the top. So all living organisms, not really that important in the first branch off. Prokaryotic, eukaryotic. Okay? So what's the difference between a prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell? Well, prokaryotics are very basic. They don't have organelles, and they have mainly no nucleus, right? So we know, we jumped ahead a little bit. We know that they have no nucleus. So let's put that here. No nucleus, right? Eukaryotic, sophisticated. What they have organelles, and they have a nucleus, right? So just to be clear, eukaryotic cell is like you. Eukaryotic, you. You and me, we're sophisticated. We're upper class. We have organelles. We have we have a nucleus. And our cells have a lot of things in them, right? So if you looked inside of a eukaryotic cell, like you and me, you're going to see a bunch of little different types of things, different machinery in that cell doing stuff. Whether it be plant or animal, right? Now, if you looked inside a prokaryotic cell, it's going to be basic, like bacteria. Basic, you might see a little bit of DNA, not even in a nucleus, just there. Otherwise, it's like soup with nothing in it, right? So prokaryotic cell, it's like people that say they're pro at games. Yeah, bro, I'm a pro. They're noobs. They're not pros, right? They're very basic. So just think about it like that. You're very sophisticated. Pro, not sophisticated, right? Alright, so we're done with that. Let's move it on down. And really, we can take that, what we just did, and we can look at J. Well, what does J say? The question marks are. J says the left side's no nucleus and the right side is a nucleus. Well, we just said, really, this J here, this is really referencing this and this. If the question marks were there, then J would be right, because this should be no nucleus, and this should be nucleus, if it's prokaryotic, right? So in that case, it would be right, but in this case, no, because we know that, let's get rid of this stuff. We know that plants have a nucleus, because they're eukaryotic, and animals have a nucleus, right? Because they're eukaryotic, which would be there, right? So in that case, excuse me, yeah, well, let's eliminate J. J is not right. Because plants and animals are both pretty sophisticated. So J, hasta la vista. Alright, let's keep going. Let's look at F. F says motile and not motile. Okay, so let's change our color to green, because green is an awesome color. Okay, so motile and not motile. So remember, based on these, this one goes on the left, this one goes on the right. So what does motile mean? Motile pretty much means capable of motion or can move around, right? Capable of motion. Well, okay, so first off, we know that the right side, non-motile. Well, we know that we are in the animal kingdom, and we are capable of motion. So we already know that, well, motile, or excuse me, not motile, that doesn't go with us, because we can move around, right? And then we see the plants as in motile. Well, here's the deal. I haven't seen a whole lot of plants moving around. Granted, they can move, but as far as like big time moving around, I haven't seen that, and I don't want to see that. If I see a plant moving towards me, I'm running. Okay, so just for that simple fact, F, you're eliminated. I don't want to see no plants do that, right? So F, you're gone. So we're down to 2. We got G and we got an H. Alright, so let's look at G. Alright, let's look at G. Non-photosynthetic, photosynthetic. Well, what does photosynthetic mean? Well, It sounds a lot like photosynthesis, right? What does photosynthesis? Plants. So let's look at this a couple different ways, and they'll all tell us if it's right or not. So it says non-photosynthetic. That means it doesn't do photosynthesis. And I see that on the left side, well, that's the plant, right? Kingdom Plantae, right? So that should do photosynthesis. So that already tells me, that's one way it tells me it's wrong. Remember that photosynthesis is just where it makes its energy from the sun, right? Photo means light, synthetic means like to create. So it's saying that the right side, i.e. animals, makes its energy from the sun. Well, can you stand outside and like be satisfied from your hunger? No, so that doesn't work. And remember, don't confuse fungi just because it looks like a plant. Say, oh, it does photosynthesis. It actually doesn't. Fungi is actually eats stuff. It eats like dead things, so it's actually consuming its energy, right? So fungi does not get its energy from the sun. It actually consumes stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and eliminate G, because that's not right either. So let's look at H. Autotroph, heterotroph. So we kind of just explained that a little bit. Let's explain it again. So we know that an autotroph creates its own food. Auto means self. So I think it's like self-feeding, like it can create its own food by being in the sun. Heterotroph means it consumes it in some way. It doesn't always have to go out and hunt its food and kill its food, but it does consume it in some way, right? So let's see, are plants autotrophs? Do they get their energy from, excuse me, do they get it from the sun, or do they hunt their food? No, they're autotrophs. They make their energy from the sun, right? So that's right. So we can check that off. Are these two heterotrophs? Because you know it would go there, right? Well, do we consume stuff for our energy? Absolutely. We eat stuff, whether it's meat or vegetables or whatever. We consume stuff to get our energy. Okay, good. Does fungi? Well, as we just said, they're not autotrophs. They actually have to consume something. So they grow in. A lot of times it might be like rotting logs or like decaying things, whatever. They're consuming something to get their energy. They might not be running out, killing it and eating it, or cooking it into a hamburger or whatever, but they are consuming it. Therefore, they are heterotrophs. So that's a check too. So we got all our answers. So everything's good. In that case, let's circle the correct answer, which would be H. And as always, have an awesome day.